Yo, so in the previous video, I was mentioning my how my regimen has changed based on the new targets and the new things that are happening. And and I wanted to just discuss a bit more about how every single point on your plan kind of requires its own energy slash attitude. So it made me think about consistency and how people explain being consistent and what are the things that you kind of like are able to be consistent with. And also made me think about objective reality and how to like look at things in a bit more detached, I want to say, way, because the more we get involved, the more we get stubborn with the things that we actually are doing ourselves and we want to do ourselves. So going back to the case, let us discuss how it feels to connect with old friends. And friends for me as a word is a bit big. I don't really understand how people can. I don't really understand how people can be friends. From my perspective, it's always a very emotional matter. And there are all kinds of emotions involved in a friendship because, in a weird way, we choose them as friends because of things that we kind of like are missing in our lives. When we're not consistent, we kind of like expect more out of them, and when they're not consistent, we kind of like engage with it differently because we expect more out of ourselves, basically. And this friend of mine that I saw that I knew since I was like 20 or 19, she moved abroad back then, and we each kind of like lived different lives. But I was consistent in like checking up on her every once in a while, and she also did the same. Although her motivation has always been like, because the country's shitty. So anytime something happens in the country, she messages me. But an actual like back and forth friendship only happened the days that we met. And normally it's like a couple of hours where we just sit, we hang out, we discuss some stuff, we talk. We kind of gauge how far we've actually like moved from our previous positions. And that's something that kind of like clicked in a very strong way with me. I've always believed that especially like older people that you've known for a while are the perfect dots, are the perfect points on the timeline that is your life for you to use as a self-actualization method, because I can, through their eyes, they're looking at you as the person they knew, but you're introducing yourself again based on the fact that you knew each other, but you're a completely different person. Opinions have changed, attitudes have changed, methodologies, approach, even the tone of voice, the way you speak, all of that stuff kind of like change as you grow up. You, I don't believe really change, but that's a topic for a different day. But everything about you kind of like has shifted towards something else. And I had this discussion once with you guys. It was funny because we spent a couple of days, which I considered a complete like vacation. Like those 2 days were me like detached completely from any form of work, any form of interaction with, whether it is my studies because I consider that my work, whether it is my platform because I consider that my work, or whether it is the actual job that I have, which I consider my work. Uh, I did work out, but not on both days, on one of them. And that was before I actually started hanging out with her. So technically, I was like in still work mode until me and her got in the car and went to the beach. So there's something fascinating about this friendship or friendship in general is the trust that kind of like exists over a course, over a passage of time. And I I know she can rely on me because I know the kind of person I am. But I think this time around was the first time where she saw that she could rely on me. And that was huge for me because like I actually like felt it from her, felt that she can trust me, felt like she felt safe around me. which is how I would imagine friendships to be, which is exactly what I don't feel around the people that are technically my friends. I feel a lot of judgment. I feel a lot of I can't find the word, but I feel a lot of like I feel like I exhaust them. But normally I don't start conversations unless they do. So that's because I kind of like avoid feeling imposing. I want to avoid that feeling where I am imposing on whatever it is that they're doing. So I don't start with anything. They kind of initiate it, and I kind of take that line and I pull it all the way until it snaps, or they kind of like completely just doze off and detach. It's funny. But I felt for the first time that there's this person that I kind of barely know, but has been consistent in my life. And I felt very much, I want to say at peace, or just kind of like I had to deal with a lot of stuff from my past just because she existed. Like she didn't do that on purpose, but a lot of conversations came back and forth of back then and what was, and we each shared responsibilities and each shared experiences and each shared interactions and each shared the small things that kind of like engage with us. I don't know. I probably did some corny shit as well, given the way I am. I probably did not understand certain situations the way I should have, given the way I am. I probably played it safe a bit more than I should have because I should have trusted from the beginning. But again, in a weird way, I truly felt some form of friendship where she didn't care to judge me. She just loved the fact that I was there and she was able to hang out with me. I felt that, and I normally don't. And that's maybe lack of trust when it comes to people or stuff like this. But I am still processing how that's going to affect me in the future. I well, the first thing I did was I started kind of like thinking about all the other things that are in my life that are concerning people, and it kind of like filled my head. Like these 2 days were kind of like empty, and then when I came back to reality, I noticed that there are a few people that are within my days that are like consistent within my days. And normally I don't kind of consider their existence because like they come and go. But this time around, I actually did. And I did in a more scientific way because I nerded it out. I started thinking about how they are like impacting the kind of person I want to be and whether they are or not. Like all of this normally happens on its own. All of this normally goes like, okay, so I don't feel like hanging out with that person anymore. So I don't because it's just not necessarily like making me feel good hanging out with them. And that's been the case for a while, like these 2 years. And for now, it's been kind of like consistently different. I also had a friend of mine get married, and she was cool as well. It's a different person from back in the day as well. But we didn't get to hang out, and even back in the day, we never got to hang out. We met because like we liked to party and go out and enjoy the fruits of this country. And she loved this country, even though she's not from here, and she got married here, so that's fucking cute. But I went to the wedding, and it was such a vibe, and I think it was a vibe because of the couple of days that I was actually hanging out with my friends. So it was like a consistent kind of like growth into like the setting, which was the end of the wedding. And no, don't get me wrong, I'm not considering getting married or any of that shit. It's just like enjoying beautiful stuff, enjoying people having their moments, and instead of just always focused on me. That extended a part of me, I think, more to the outside world where I got to experience it firsthand through other people's eyes. And I talked about it once, self actualization versus self realization. And we need people in a very deep way in order for us to engage with ourselves a bit better. And I think most of the time we kind of take that for granted because, as beautiful as the people in our life are, you never know where other people come and inspire you or other people come and show you different things. And I believe that's what they meant when they said self-actualization. What was the name of the psychologist who wrote the pyramid of needs, of psychological needs? There's the of needs, ending with the psychological needs and self-interest. The name can't come to my head. But there are blown studies about self-actualization, and I really believe that people are at the essence of it. It's just life, yeah. You like interact with life, but the only way you can kind of like gauge your interaction because everything's happening from you. I think it's more from the people around you and how they respond to that. And then when you actually have the eyes that see that, because normally we're always in our own world. When somebody has the eyes to see that, you'll be able to kind of like look at yourself better and see yourself better, or at least see yourself better and see how different you are from your own perception, or how close you are to the perception that you want to be. Yeah, I think that was like something beautiful that I wanted to share. Thank you. Thank you.